Thank you.
Hi. Do you take one of these? Thank you all for coming to an introduction to Farsi for Westerners. Some things that you may or may not learn. Please come in, take a handout. We're just about to begin. So some things you may or may not learn from this lesson could involve or include beginning to learn a new language, impressing others with your newfound skills, improving your ability to eavesdrop on Iranians, Tajiks, Afghans, Pakistanis, North Indians and others who may speak Farsi. And you may or may not use the language to your advantage in situations where speaking English might not be helpful. Now, if you could all look at the sheet in front of you, I'm just going to quickly go through how to pronounce some of the letters that will be seen throughout the lesson. So they'll be as follows: A, O, E, I, O, U, H, and R. Now, some of you may only speak languages that do not include the sounds H and R. So before we proceed, I'd like us to just try pronouncing that so that we can continue. So, H, 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 very good, and R. Very good. من بریتانیایی هستم. من فارسی صحبت نمی‌کنم. Now I'd like you to try repeating these two phrases. Hi. من بریتانیایی هستم. Let's try. من بریتانیایی هستم. من فارسی صحبت نمی‌کنم. من فارسی صحبت نمی‌کنم. Hi, it's okay. Please come in. این یک سوء تفاهم بود. آیا من توقیف هستم؟ این یک سوء تفاهم بود. Let's try that. این یک سوء تفاهم بود. آیا من توقیف هستم؟ آیا من توقیف هستم؟ Brilliant. Let's look at food. Juje kebab. Juje kebab. It's okay, you don't have to repeat these ones.
Very good.
Zed kolo. Juje sokhari. However, if you would like to, please feel free. Pizza. Pizza. Chai. لطفاً. بفرمایید. متشکرم. You guys are getting it very, very well. I think you're the best class I've had today, actually. بفرمایید شام. Okay, now we're going to do a little quiz. The next slide is going to have 4 words out of the food-related things we've just learned. And the clues are on your handout as well, so if you can't remember them, you can always look to it. And I'd like anyone who thinks they know the answer to the next 4 words to please put their hand up and tell me, and the first person who gets them all correct will win a lovely bag of Cheetos. So, let's go. So I'd like the first person to give me the correct translations. Sorry, I'm not sure if I can.
Chicken kebab.
Mm-hmm.
All of them.
Oh God.
So the answers are all on your sheet as well. So
Chicken kebab, fried chicken,
cheese, please. Well done.
Wow.
That was tea.
So before we move on, I'd just like to tell you a bit about Iranian culture, which is characterized by tarof. the art of excessive politeness and humility. Now, this has its roots in the Persian tradition of treating your guests better than your own family and the insatiable desire to be the best hosts. It's best described as a play of words between the offerer and the recipient until one of them agrees. So let's learn a bit about communications. As you probably all know, Iran has a lot of censorship issues. However, Iranians get around that with an American creation called Freegate. And it's a program that can allow even you to access Facebook in a land that once promised not to fall into the consumerism of the West. If you are in Iran trying to access a website and you don't have Freegate, it may be blocked. And if it is, you will approach a website that looks like this. For example, I tried to look up the Institute of Contemporary Art, and so I couldn't go on it, but it did give me options for other websites that I could have chosen, but they're usually not quite what people need, obviously, when you're trying to go to a specific website. And if you notice a small red countdown, don't worry about that. It's nothing, terrible. It will just give a countdown until you can either choose one of these websites or it will randomly choose one for you when it reaches 0.
چرا من نمیتونم به فیسبوک دسترسی داشته باشم؟ چون شما به فریگیت 2.0 نیاز دارید. چطور میتونم فریگیت داشته باشم؟ شما میتونید از کامپیوتر من استفاده کنید. نه، مشکلم. من برای خودم پیدا میکنم. نه، خواهش میکنم. گفتم نه، مشکلم. من اصرار میکنم. مال منو استفاده کنید. نگران نباشید. من پیدا میکنم. به شما میگم کامپیوتر مرا استفاده کنید. بسیار خوب. خیلی ممنون.
I'd like you to pair up with someone sitting next to you, and in order to try and ask each other, what do you do? I'd just like to note for pronunciation, I've missed out an apostrophe here, so instead of saying chekar mikonin, I would like you to make sure you say chekar mikonin. So, in response to that, you could say man honarmand hastam. And I'd like you to both, like in your groups, to both try saying questions and the answers. And I'll give you a couple minutes for that. So off you go. It's a translation of I am and. So man is I, Hastam is am. So in the middle of those two you would say Basiji, so I think actually the problem
of actually getting that across correctly. It seems to be the same confusion.
Yeah, I think the word man just sort of triggers like an English phrase. Okay, so I'd be man, what a man has to. Is that right? And you would be.
So how's everyone doing? Is everyone tired? Or should I give you a time? Okay, I think we'll cut it there because we're running out of time. Is everyone ready? Okay, so let's talk about fashion. Niqab, burqa, chador. I'd like to say that the last two images you saw are not worn, are much more rarely worn by women in Iran than they are in countries in the Arab League. But what more religious women wear more of in Iran is the chador, and also those that are forced to by their families. But other women who don't instead wear the rusari and the manto, which comes in many different shapes and styles. And another thing about women's fashion is that at the moment it's very in trend to shorten their eyebrows so that they can have more space to add more eye makeup on their faces. And among both men and women, it's very popular and has been for at least the past couple of decades to get nose jobs. And I think it's, well, not I think, but I'm actually quite sure that it's a very common thing, and it's not embarrassing at all for people to walk on the street with their post-surgery bandages. این روسری منه. آیا روسری رو دوست داری؟ آره، خیلی قشنگه. کار کیه؟ آیا همه زنان روسری سر میکنن؟ آیا این انتخاب شماست؟ از چه سنی؟ از 7 سالگی. Making friends. بیا بریتانیا. همه میخوان برن آمریکا. آیا شما اتاق اضافی دارین؟ البته. دوست دارم. باحال. اینو دوست ندارم. نمیدونستم شما فیلم‌های هالیوودی رو دوست دارین. And we'll finish off with how to make your voice habit. بی احترامی نشه. خوشبختم که در ایران زندگی نمی‌کنم. So I thank you all for joining me today, and I hope you enjoyed this lesson. Thank you. Thank you very much for
Would you like your handouts back then?
I don't mind.
I would like to keep them if you need them, then feel free.
Please keep them.
I will keep them away.
You may need it at the embassy.
I think I might. Yeah, I think I might.
Thank you very much.
That was really good.
Thanks.